I went through school with a deep-set fear of being discovered.
I see. So you mentioned you were repressed because you were closeted. There seemed to be some societal and self-imposed expectations.
Yeah.
I was just wondering, how did that impact your mental health, or how did it also impact your ability to seek help?
Wow, the mental health part, I think it's a generational thing. Okay, I'm Gen X. And growing up at that time, well, there was always the discrimination, the stigma about being who I was. I was in an all-boys mission school. You know, that didn't make it any easier. There were always these derogatory terms that we would give, you know, the effeminate boys and so on. But which is ironic because here I was hiding behind this facade of being masculine, hyper straight, right? Hyper masculine and being very straight. I went through school with a deep-set fear of being discovered. And a lot of things were just, like in retrospect, it's just really very silly. I'll give you an example. We used to have swimming PE and, you know, natural biological processes of a human male. I'll be terrified to get out of the water. Absolutely terrified because I don't want the other boys thinking that I'm turned on because of that. Okay? I would never shower with them. The other straight guys would be just showering, messing around, clowning around, and I'm just like, no, you guys go first. Or I would not even change out my swimming trunks. Just dry up, put my shorts on, and go back to class. And the irony of it is that for the guys who didn't care, the straight guys, the straight boys who didn't care, they were just clowning around, fooling around with each other, like it was nothing. But here I was trying to hide, and my behaviors, my speech, you know, they talk about girls. I'm like, yeah, you know, and I didn't quite react. I couldn't quite react the same way as they did, obviously. But there were a lot of things I couldn't say, I couldn't do. Same thing. And this went in JC, army, you know, people talk about the opposite sex, and I'm like, oh yeah, okay. And you know, young men, you talk a bit dirty, you know, and I'm like, okay, right?
It sounded like there was a lot of shame and
there was
fear because of the early labels that were ascribed to, you know.
I mean, we can't use the terms now. You can edit this out. Whatever lah, you know, but all those words, we threw it around so easily. In a sense, we threw it around easily, but it wasn't malicious. It just is. It's just thrown out, right? These days, you can't say it. You can't say it. You can't go anywhere near there. But within a community, we still use it on each other. Okay? So it's the kind of thing. I can say it to each other. We can say it to each other, but we cannot call someone else that.
It's like owning it in some sense.
I wouldn't. I don't think I wouldn't call it ownership. I would call it self-deprecation. A lot of it is self-deprecation. And that really comes from a lifetime of being sort of put down and told that you're different. And what really makes it worse for me was I have the old classification would be Asperger's on the spectrum. So I knew I was a bit different already. The way I thought was very different already. Here I am hiding the fact that I'm gay in a Christian boys' school. So all that sort of compounded, you know. And it kind of exploded when I was kind of forced to repeat O-level. And that was big for me because when I was forced to repeat O-level, my entire support structure disappeared. All my friends from this, you know, all the same age, right, suddenly all gone. We went to JC, ran poly or wherever, and I felt very alone. I was very alone. I was very aloof in that year. I finally did manage to get to JC. Didn't quite want to, but I was forced to by my dad, which is another factor. Went to JC, rebel, don't want to study, play, smoke, drink, right?
Yeah.
So I repeated JC 1. Now I'm 2 years older than everybody, and well, I didn't make it again the second year, but those years were rough. Those years were really rough.